So let me, in these first few minutes, as probably a few more people will join, give a very brief recap of the technique. Then we will meditate together, about 25, 30 minutes, and then we will have a presentation about the art of letting go, connecting with some timeless wisdom and recommendations that are captured with the Noble Eightfold Path. That will be today's topic. So Dhammakaya is very much connected to the same first teaching of Lord Buddha, in which he mentions the Eightfold Noble Path as being the middle way, the way out of suffering. And so in that teaching, he mentions that if we're able to access the center of the body, he doesn't use specifically that term, but it's that what he refers to. The center of the body is located 2 finger widths above the navel, in the intersection in the middle of the body. It's most easily identified if we take a long, slow, soft breath in that allows us to fill our belly. And if we follow the air as it flows in, I know that biologically speaking, air just goes all the way to the lungs. But if we pay attention to what happens inside, as the lungs expand, also the diaphragm expands, and with it, the belly expands. And so it seems as if the air goes all the way to the middle of the belly and then starts its way back out. And so that's turning point of the breath in the middle of the belly. That's where the center of the body is, and that's where we will direct our attention softly and gently after relaxing body and mind first. And the idea is to remain calm in the center with our attention. This is easier said than done. I think we all can testify to that. We're bound to get distracted. We're bound to end up with either distractions from outside or inside, and that's very normal. So to help us calm those distractions, we can visualize a round, peaceful image like a bright sun or a, a full moon. Also, crystal sphere would be perfectly fine. Any round object that inspires peace. And the key to visualizing it is not to force the visual details, but more to connect with the feeling. So let's imagine we're visualizing the sun. For those of us who maybe have gone through a harsh winter and you feel that bright sun on a spring day warming you up, it's such a source of bliss. And so as we connect with that feeling of bliss, we can feel that in our center. And that's what we mean with visualizing the sun, for example, in our center. And then gradually, as we are able to remain connected to that visualization, we will see that the details will become neater. And that's a sign that we're managing to stabilize our attention in the center. Another technique that we use is reciting the mantra. Unlike some meditation traditions where the mantra is being recited out loud, here we do it in silence. It's as if there would be a loudspeaker in our center, and out of that loudspeaker, we can sense, we can feel the vibration of the mantra. So it's with our inner voice that we repeat, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang. Let me write that down in the chat for those who are new. And the words, or words in Pali, the language of Lord Buddha, mean the right way to a completely purified mind. So the vibration of the mantra, more than understanding it intellectually, it's about allowing ourselves that the vibration impacts on our mind, calms it, and leads it to calm. That's the effect of the mantra. Once our mind is relaxed, calm, and quiet, at peace in our center, all there is to do is just to enjoy. Contentment is the key to a successful meditation. Contentment is not an exuberant state of joy. It's more a peaceful state of mind where we're just happy with whatever experience we have at this moment, no matter how peaceful or perhaps distracted it is. We're fine with it. We accept it as it is. And so this is in itself a practice of letting go. That's how also meditation helps us a lot to um, not get hung up on distractions, but simply recognize that they're there and reconnect with the center. I will close with a nice metaphor that you can use when distractions appear. Imagine you're visualizing the bright sun in your center. All of a sudden, there are distractions, thoughts, or sounds from outside, physical discomfort. They're like clouds that hide the brightness of the sun from you. And so, even if the clouds hide the brightness of the sun is still there. And so, we have the choice. We can either focus on the clouds or reconnect with the sun. The choice is up to you, up to each of us. With that, I invite us all to take a comfortable meditation posture, whereby we have an upright back. It doesn't matter whether we're sitting on a chair or on a meditation cushion on the floor. The key is to feel those two sitting bones in the back of our glutes. Those will help us to have an upright back comfortably. And take 3 calm, long, deep breaths in and out while we continue readjusting our posture, making sure that our shoulders are comfortably relaxed, our head is nice, upright, as if hanging from a cord that makes sure that our neck is comfortably upright, our chin slowly a bit tilted downward. This will help us to remain focused on the inside of our body. And we can gently close our eyes, making sure there is no pressure on our eyelids or in the corners of our eyes. We inhale freshness, pure energy. Feel how it spreads throughout the body. And we exhale all distractions, negativity, burdens, preoccupations. We allow them to flow out of our body and mind as we exhale. And as we resume a natural breath pace, we continue relaxing every single part of our body. From the top of our head all the way down to the tips of our toes, softly and gently. We allow all tension and discomfort to release from our head, from our scalp, all the muscles from our face. Relax, unwind, become very much at ease. And I allow this sense of relaxation to slide into my brain, my eyeballs, my tongue and teeth. This relaxation continues to flow down my neck and shoulders to my arm, and I can feel how not only my skin relaxes, but also the flesh underneath it, my muscle fibers, even my bones and joints find a relaxing state of ease and comfort. All tension dissipates inside my chest, the abdomen, all the muscles from my back relax, along with my spine, all the way down to my buttocks. With every single breath, I find myself more and more at ease, deeply relaxed. I allow my nether parts to relax along with my legs, all the way down to my feet. And I observe tension and discomfort dissipate, release from every single body part until I'm confident that even my toenails feel utterly relaxed. Now that my body is completely relaxed, I make sure that my posture remains comfortable, make some minor adjustments if necessary, so that I can fully dedicate myself to relaxing the mind and to bringing the mind home. A nice way to further relax the mind is to recall all things for which we are grateful today, all good deeds we have received or given. A nice warm ray of sunlight, a kind word, a compassionate gesture, healthy food, even just the air that fills us with life energy. And so our mind fills itself with positivity, positive energy, makes us feel even more relaxed, safe, and secure. We may have our eyes closed, but we feel utterly secure, safe, and sound. I can imagine a bright sun radiating in a perfectly cloudless blue sky. I feel the rays caressing my skin and warming me up. More than visual details, I can feel the positive energy. I can sense its shining glow. And I invite the sun to come closer, to approach my face and reduce itself to the size of a coin, floating in front of my mouth. I sense its presence and allow it to enter my body through my mouth and feel as that small sun passes through my mouth, sensing its peaceful glow, its warming radiation going down my throat very softly and gently down my lungs and belly until it arrives in the middle of my belly, very softly, very gently, landing in the middle of my body. As the sun touches the center, an even greater feeling of comfort and well being arises inside me. All there is for me to do is to enjoy this feeling, to be content, to remain comfortably concentrated on the sun, the bright sun in my center, allowing distractions to pass by like clouds, returning my attention time and again to the center of my body. Ah, relax, at ease. I enjoy every moment, and I can facilitate my awareness resting in the center by silently repeating the mantra. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang. With my own inner voice, I continue repeating the mantra until my mind rests quietly in the middle of the bright sun in my center. As I continue meditating in silence a few more minutes. Samma 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 mind slides deeper and deeper into the center. I become one with the bright, shining sun in my middle, as if I were sitting inside the sun. I am pure light. I am pure energy. I am peace energy. And as I merge with the sun, I share that pure peace energy, that bright light from inside me with all living beings. May all living beings, close by, far away, be happy, be healthy, be liberated from all sources of negativity, and may we all continuously develop and maintain total purity of our mind, so that our thoughts are equally pure, so that our speech be equally pure, so that our conduct be equally pure. May we all have our wishes fulfilled and come true. May we become established in the Dhamma and find the ultimate source of liberation in our center. We are now approaching an appropriate moment to close this meditation. Very gently, we allow ourselves to become more aware of the sounds around us. We become more aware of our physical body, of its limitations that contain our mind inside the body. all physical senses, like the temperature of the room in which we are sitting, the weight of our body, become more and more present as we maintain the connection to our center and allow our attention to resurface again. Very softly and gently, we prepare ourselves to open our eyes and end this meditation. Grateful for this gift we have given ourselves, content with the experience that we have had and with how we feel right now. We open our eyes again and end this meditation with a smile that reflects our inner experience. I will give you a few moments to gently come back, fully aware of the world around us, of the screen in front of you. I know it's sometimes a bit too short, right? We would like to remain floating in our center, enjoying that peace energy. I hope you enjoyed this meditation. If you want to share a few words in the chat, feel free to do so. As I prepare presentation to appear so that we can continue with a few words about the art of letting go, which is this evening's topic. Well, for those of you who are in the same time zone as me, it's the afternoon. Few moments as I make sure the presentation is ready to be shared. There we are. As Long Pisander mentioned in the announcement, my name is Tom Vandenstein. I'm a certified mindfulness and meditation trainer. I regularly teach meditation and related topics for the temple, the Dhammakaya temple in the Netherlands, virtually in Dutch. And it is a great pleasure and honor to also have the opportunity to share some insights from a recent course that I gave in Dutch on the Noble Eightfold Path. It was a six-week course diving deep into the different aspects and components of the Noble Eightfold Path, and I will share with you a very succinct summary of that course. And all the recordings of the course are available on YouTube. They're in Dutch, but I think nowadays the automatic translation does wonders, right? So we can put subtitles and ask YouTube to translate it to Spanish, English, whichever language we have. So I will share afterwards the link to the playlist where you can find the recordings in Dutch so that you can have some further time to explore the content of this course. As I mentioned, this teaching goes back to the first teaching Lord Buddha gave after he reached his complete state of awakening and enlightenment. Remember that this teaching started with the Buddha recognizing that indulging in neither sensual pleasure nor mortification was found to be useful or noble. That was his own life path. First, he was a prince, enjoying all the luxuries of life, and then he went through several years of starvation. And in neither conditions was he able to come to a complete state of peace and liberation from negativity. He then shared what led him to that state of complete awakening, which is the middle way. The middle way, which leads to vision, knowledge, peace, wisdom, awakening, and in the end, nirvana. Now, what is that middle way? That middle way is the Eightfold Path, and that has to do with the Four Noble Truths. He shared the Four Noble Truths in that first teaching. There is suffering. The good news about suffering is that it has an origin, which means that there's also a way out of suffering, that suffering can be ended. And that path to end suffering is that Noble Eightfold Path. Suffering has to do with the three viruses of the mind. I'm sure that you have heard of these before in earlier teachings of the monks. Craving, anger, and delusion are the three viruses that plague our mind, that create veils that prevent us from acknowledging and experiencing reality as it is, instead projecting reality as we would like it to be. And as there is tension between as is and as we would like it to be, that creates suffering, because what we experience is not what we would like to experience. And that's the fundamental existential tension that plagues human minds. Now, the way out of these three viruses connects us with that Noble Eightfold Path. Craving is countered by generosity, by sharing, and that is the result of wisdom. If we are able to understand reality as is and not as we would like it to be, we automatically will act accordingly. And part of that acting of that conduct is being generous. And so that counters the virus of craving. The virus of anger is countered by morality, by keeping the five precepts, by living a life of discipline, of loving discipline, right? And finally, delusion is countered by mindfulness and meditation, which are summarized in the Eightfold Path under the chapter of Samadhi meditation, right? So as we project this to the Eightfold Path, we see in the middle, on the top, the right view and the right resolve, which are the two ingredients, the two steps of wisdom. Then we have right speech, right conduct, and right livelihood, which are part of Shila, morality. And finally, we have right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration that are part of Samadhi, meditation. So let us dive deeper into each of those steps so that you can have a first understanding of what is meant by those steps, and you can start walking those steps. So let us start with wisdom, Panya. The first step is that of the perfected view. And note that I have changed the adjective right to perfected. I've done this on purpose because it illustrates that the word right in those 8 steps does not mean that it's an opposition to wrong. Right refers to the process of perfection until we reach a state of liberation, right? So there is a state of perfection of the mind, which is a mind that is completely pure from free from impurities. So that is what we mean with samadhi. Samma is the path to perfection. Hence, perfected view. And the right view is a view that has become perfected, that has become perfect. In the first, most basic understanding, it means that we understand reality as is. Suffering stems from desire, attachment, and ignorance. We understand that the 3 viruses operate in our lives, and we're able to see that. If we are willing to take this to the next level, and that takes already a lifetime, many lifetimes, to really understand reality as is. But if we are then willing to take a next step, then we strive for a view of nirvana in reality being nirvana, understood as complete and total liberation of ignorance and impurities, right? That's the ultimate state of perfection of our mind. From a perfected view can originate then the perfected resolve. This refers to wholesome intentions that we can make day in, day out, right? It is one of the good recommended practices to start our day with bringing our mind to the center and connecting with those intentions, to be generous throughout the day, to keep the 5 precepts throughout the day, to make space for the Dhamma, for meditation. And that's what we understand with renunciation for the layperson. And of course, not to take advantage of people or other living beings. If we then would like to take it to the next level, to an ultimate state of transcendence, then we can have, or we can cultivate that intention to surrender completely our lives to achieving nirvana. And that implies renouncing our lay life and the responsibilities that go with it. So, of course, that's if we really are willing to give up all aspects, all dimensions of lay life, right? But even if we don't, we can still practice those wholesome intentions throughout the day, throughout our lives, every day. Then those 2 steps lead us to the 3 next steps that are steps related to a moral life, beginning with the perfected speech. And perfected speech begins with an understanding that every word is vibration, right? Every word we speak has a vibration, and that vibration has an impact on the world around us. May have heard from the research of a Japanese doctor called Masuro Emoto, and he has studied the impact of the vibration of our words on water before it is being frozen. And then after freezing the water, he has analyzed the crystals that were made in with the water that had the words written on outside of its tubes. And as you can see, wholesome words, words of peace, converted the water into harmonious crystals. Words of anger, pollution impacted negatively the way the water crystallized. So human beings being 70-80% water, let's be more conscious of the words we use, because the vibration of our words impacts our body, our physical state. And our physical state, of course, also will impact our mind. So the basic recommendations from the Eightfold Path are to avoid lying. And lying includes speech that would allow us to benefit from others, gain at the cost, at the expense of others. It's also divisive speech, speech that leads to disagreement, to suffering, anger, harm. We also should avoid harsh language, swear words, insults, and of course, gossiping, right? It's talking in vain, it's meaningless conversations. And there's a nice, if you will look at the full series, I give a guide of 5 criteria for compassionate speech. So whenever we speak, we should be heedful of meeting all those criteria. I really recommend you that one. Then the next step is that of perfected conduct, and see how the 3 key elements in Buddhist understanding of reality, mind, energy, and matter, are following each other, right? That's also why in the loving kindness, I mentioned wholesome thoughts lead to wholesome speech, leads to wholesome conduct, actions, right? So mind becomes energy, energy becomes matter. Right view, right intention, that's the mind. We had perfected speech, and now we have perfected conduct. They all follow each other. What we think, we will end up saying. What we say, what we talk about, we will end up doing. There is a very clear consequence between those 3 areas in our life. So, how can we perfect our conduct, our daily conduct? It's by keeping 3 wholesome acts: not killing or physically torturing other living beings, not stealing or unlawfully appropriating things that do not belong to us, and not engaging in sexual misconduct. Very important to complement this is not to take any intoxicants, because intoxicants intoxicate, goes by itself, our mind. And when our mind is not clear, is impure, this will lead us to heedlessness, and we will more easily engage in unwholesome acts. So you see here that with the perfected speech and do not lie, we have here now the four other um, precepts that compose the five precepts. They appear here as well in the Eightfold Path. Perfected conduct will lead to perfected livelihood, samma ajiva. An honest livelihood is a way of making a living that involves doing no harm, including lying and cheating. Yeah. So that applies to any kind of job that we would have. There are so many jobs where maybe we cheat a bit, or we're prone to lying or to selling something, making promises that aren't really true. So it's very easy to fall into unwholesome ways of earning a living. But besides that, there are also in the scriptures five specific professions that are recommended not to not to engage in, because they automatically imply a dishonest livelihood. Human trafficking, slavery, prostitution. Nowadays, we still live in a world with lots of slavery. Trading arms, trading animals, whether live or dead, trading intoxicants, and trading poison, right? So any of those five categories of professions automatically make sure that we have a dishonest livelihood, and it is recommended to change it towards a way of earning a living that allows us to be more wholesome, that allows us to grow in perfection. Those three steps bring us to the final three steps of the Eightfold Path, which are the steps that fall under meditation samadhi. Beginning with perfected effort. If we already have the right livelihood, then we can further work on the efforts that we apply in what we do throughout the day. And this applies to those three levels of reality: the mental reality, the energetic reality, and the material reality. So, perfected effort, we should practice this not only in what we do, but also in what we say and what we think. Avoid evil that is not yet committed. Yeah. If you have not committed it yet and you're thinking about it, avoid it. Yeah, at all cost. Abandon evil that has already been committed. Ask for forgiveness. Stop doing it. Develop virtues that are not yet present, and those that are already present, make sure that you preserve them and continue to nurture them. Right? Very relatively straightforward building blocks, but if we analyze our lives and the way we think, the way we talk, the way we act, we will see that there are subtle layers that start appearing where we can still further apply those four guidelines. In the words of Lord Buddha, just like a goldsmith has to melt gold not once but many times before it can be used to make jewelry, in order to move all the impurities from the metal. So the wise men, the sages who want to remove the defilements of their mind, such as greed, have to remove these impurities bit by bit, sequentially, until there is nothing left, while at the same time continuously cultivating wholesome deeds. So the Lord Buddha himself recognizes that this is a process that takes a lot of time. It's not by doing this once or twice that we have managed to purify our mind. There are many layers. And in each of those layers, it's important that we reach a state of complete purity, removing all impurities. Perfected effort brings us to perfected mindfulness. And remember, mindfulness is the same as sati, a key word also in meditation. It's having our attention inside the body, not outside. And there are two roles in mindfulness that are very important, two roles that the mind can play. One is that of a gatekeeper, a doorkeeper, making sure that we know where our attention goes. What do we allow in our mind? Yeah, if we are scrolling through social media or watching television, what kind of shows, movies, what kind of posts do we interact with? If we see posts about gossip, about um, violence, is that something that we want our to let to enter our mind? Hmm? So we, in order to fulfill that role of the gatekeeper, we must sure that we have that we cultivate a constant awareness of our center. Remember that we can be aware of the center throughout the day, also outside meditation. So that is a very recommended practice, and that will help us to much faster shut the gate, shut the doors of our mind, and allow and prevent negativity from entering. Because all negativity that enters our mind, we will have to first clean in our next meditation. So that makes that a meditation can become more difficult if we have accumulated lots of negativity in our mind. This is easier said than done, especially when we are engaging in social interactions, right? If we are talking with friends, with colleagues, our mind very easily gets distracted and we forget about the center. So, especially in those situations, it's important that we learn how to keep our mind at the center. The second role that the mind can play as part of perfecting our mindfulness is that of a treasurer, making sure that we value the positivity in our mind, that we continuously direct our attention to sources of positivity, such as being generous, such as the five precepts, the three jewels, such as the three gems, being grateful towards parents and teachers. Very interesting, something I like to share when we talk about the triple gem, yeah? Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It's not so much being aware of it as something outside. We're not so much aware of the historical Buddha, but of what Buddha means, complete awakening, and of the fact that each of us is already a Buddha. Each of us already is completely awakened. Only that we have covered up that state of complete awakening with impurities. So when we take refuge in the triple gem, we acknowledge that we are already perfectly enlightened and awake. That quality is already inside us, right? And that is how we nurture beneficial thoughts. The same with the Dharma. That's the energetic part. Buddha is the mental part, Dharma is the energetic part. It's all the practices and the wisdom that allows us to live a fully awakened life, to have and nurture and cultivate and maintain that perfect state of awakening. Sangha is not only that community of people like us here joining together, but it's also all the practices that a person can do to live a fully awakened life, right? And also all that wisdom, the Dharma, and those practices, the Sangha, are already inside us. So that's a way of being a treasurer in perfecting our mindfulness. We remind ourselves day in and day out that we are already perfectly awakened beings. We have just forgotten. We have just covered it up with impurities. And there is then a deeper layer to perfecting our mindfulness, and that is developing mindfulness or awareness of the four aspects of reality, which is that we have a body in the body, that in each of these bodies there are feelings, so that we are aware of these feelings. We recognize not only in that outer physical body, but also in those inner bodies, that there are feelings there. Also, we are aware of the state of mind in those bodies. And finally, of the ultimate state of purity, which is the Dhamma sphere in each and every of those bodies. So here you see how that road to perfection has really a lot of steps, which in the end is something positive because it means that we can grow, we can learn. We don't have to be perfect from day one. We can grow, and there are many milestones, markers that tell us where we are on that road to perfection. And finally, there is Samma Samadhi, perfected concentration. And here also we have two separate roles. We have a supporting role where we persevere. Apologies for the small mistake in the translation. It's persevering our mind in generosity and adhering to the five precepts, persevering in meditation, in listening to Dhamma talks, and making sure that our attention is all the time directed towards those sources of positivity. Those are the supporting elements to perfect our concentration. Then we have a focused role of concentration, which is being able to overcome obstacles in our concentration, thanks to, and there are three levels here that are identified: preparatory concentration. So that means that we are able to identify the center, go there for one single moment, and then let go of the concentration of the center. And that's the preparatory concentration. Neighborhood concentration refers to us being able to stay for a while in the center, for example, visualizing the sun, repeating the mantra. For a few moments at a time, we're able to maintain our attention, our concentration in the center. Access concentration is when we have fully established a still mind in the center. And that opens the gates to a deeper state of purity inside us. That is the goal of perfecting our concentration in meditation. And that will lead us to wisdom. And remember our three levels of wisdom. There is wisdom that we receive, like you're receiving now, words of wisdom transmitted through me to you. You can then rationalize, you can think through everything that I have said to see whether it makes sense, whether it holds true for you. But at the end of the day, what it matters most is that you're able to experience that inside yourself. Because your experiential wisdom is that which no one can take away. That is the ultimate truth, what we are able to experience inside us. And that is how we ultimately will then manage to incorporate or integrate our mind into the Dhammasphere. Yeah, we become one with the Dhammasphere in our center. That is the middle way. That is the way out of suffering. That is the way that leads us to letting go day in, day out. I would like to stress, and I'm reaching the end of this presentation, I would like to stress that this is not a static set of recommendation. It's a path. And as we walk on the path, we can grow, we can perfect. Yeah? That's why when we say right view, it's not right or wrong. We are on the way to perfection. We are on the way to liberation. And notice how it's mutually reinforcing. That the last part of concentration leads to wisdom, which was the first block of three from the Eightfold Noble Path. So be compassionate with yourself. That's very, very important. Recognize that you are on the path to growth, right? So be aware at each and every moment, be mindful. What is the right balance for you? How do you maintain that sense of contentment throughout the day, throughout the night? And of course, know thyself, right? That's a universal wisdom. As you know yourself and where or how your impurities, how your mental viruses manifest itself through your habits, learn to hack your mind. Mm-hmm. You can hack your mind so that slowly but surely you grow into each and every single of those 8 steps until they're a fully ingrained habit and you know nothing but how to apply each of those steps in your daily life. As the great master said, stopping the mind is the key to success. All these steps help us to learn how to stop our mind, how to say stop to the viruses, how to find peace inside ourselves. And with that, I hope I have inspired you to further learn more about the Eightfold Path. It's really just in Dutch we have an expression. It's just a tip of the veil that I have unveiled. So let me share in the chat the link to that playlist where you can find the course that I gave, the 6 videos on the Noble Eightfold Path. And well, as I said there, it's in Dutch, but you can put automatic subtitles and translate it. You will find several other Dhamma presentations there from other courses. So feel free to explore. Um, it's a free access to you. And finally, I would like to end with another announcement. There will be 2 very interesting meditation retreats, one in Belgium and the other one in Thailand. And so I share the link here where you can find more information. It's the first and the second week of July, the first week in Belgium, the second week in Thailand. And for those of you who would like to give yourselves a true holiday this summer, then I warmly recommend that you join these retreats. They are really, really great. And for those of you who would be interested, there is another retreat, and let me quickly retrieve that link that we're organizing with the monks who are currently touring through Mexico. And we have invited them to come to Colombia. So you're also more than welcome to join us in Colombia. That's the last link. We will have a 5-day retreat there. It will be, the monks will teach in English and guide in English, and there will be translation in Spanish. So even if you don't speak Spanish, you can perfectly participate in the retreat. I feel so grateful and so honored that I was given this opportunity to guide for you, to share these few words of wisdom that I find myself to be very, very inspiring. I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. Feel free to reach out if you want to have a quick follow-up, if you want to share your experience, more than welcome to do so. You can find me, well, on YouTube. You have the YouTube channel that you got there in the chat. And on social media, you can find myself as Tom Structives. And just share the handle in the chat as well.